It's the Football Prophets.
What's up to the FP family? Welcome to a new episode of Football Prophets, where two friends talk all things American soccer. I'm your host, Michelle, and I'm here with Coach David Johnson. I always say, I feel like the past two episodes, because I usually introduce you as like, I'm here with my good friend, Coach David Johnson, and lately I've just been saying Coach David Johnson. We still friends. At least I hope so.
When you get to know someone more and you work with them closely, that friendship line can get blurred between friendship, colleague, and you can get new stresses that you didn't have when you were just friends. So I think by the end of this podcast, I think you're going to introduce me as just some guy, David Johnson. But we'll get through this.
Yeah. Every time I see your text, I'm like, yeah, this man ain't worried about how I'm doing. He's worried about something. So
but you know what though, what's going to make this better for us?
What?
We have a new unofficial sponsor. This podcast is brought to you by Hefty Solo Cups. No, not Solo Cup, Hefty Cups. Just Hefty Cups.
Yeah the red Solo Cup, the God,
are apparently the number one party cup in the USA.
Hefty.
Yeah,
well, so party time.
Let's spend that party mentality over here and send a few bucks our way.
That's my good vibe only sign. So good vibe parties. Hefty, let's get it going. Let's get the sponsorship.
Yeah, Hefty, you have 90 days to respond, and then we're going to go on to something else.
Yeah,
I don't know what
until we get one,
but something else
until we get one. But okay, let's get us started. We have an amazing show for you guys today. We're going to open up with the Concacaf Nations League. USA beats Mexico. This sounds beautiful to say. It just sounds amazing. So let's go, Coach. USA beats Mexico 3-0. We have a debut of someone we've been talking about a lot. Balogun just had his debut. How you feel about it? Tell me your level of happiness and how you feel about everything.
I'm thrilled. So Mexico is obviously the US's biggest rival in soccer. It goes back forever. Canada stepped up to kind of that second place rivalry now, just on skill, but there's not that history, that bad blood. So this is just massive, right? But this was the semifinal game that was played a few days ago on June 15th. And USA beat Mexico 3-0. Now, so this is a semifinal. That means that puts us into a final of the Nations League, somewhere we were last time around, last Nations League. We won the inaugural Concacaf Nations League. So this is our time to defend a title, right? The issue here is it's Mexico. It gets chippy, right? There's hands being thrown, hands on throats, players getting shoved left, right, center. And with that, there's red cards. Mexico sees 2 red cards. USA sees 2 red cards.
Oprah.
Now, those red cards don't really matter to Mexico at this point because all of them happened after all 3 goals were scored for USA. So it didn't really affect the game too much, but it does affect USA going forward because those 2 players that received a red card will not be able to play in the final. So that's Weston McKennie, one of our most important midfielders in this team, and Serginho Dest, one of our best attacking defenders on this team. We are already without a Tyler Adams, who is our most important player, and he plays that 6 role in the center of midfield. So now we're missing 2 starting midfielders, a starting defender.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough when you're going up into a final against a CONCACAF rival in a very good team in Canada, right?
Yeah.
But switching gears into that game, USA played Canada tonight We're recording on a Sunday here, Father's Day Sunday, late night. It's 11:54 right now.
Oh yeah, and not cutting you off, but since you brought that up, happy Father's Day to all the dad and dad to be's. Fathers have great responsibility and great spot. So happy Father's Day to y'all, and subscribe. All right, keep going, Coach.
That's your Father's Day present. Subscribe to our podcast.
Subscribe to us.
But moving on, now that we're done talking about dads, so in that Mexico game, our most sought after player, Balogun, right? Balogun Balogun, we've talked about him plenty on this podcast. He gets his USA debut. He gets fouled a whole lot, which is actually why some of the red cards happened in response to him getting hacked. But he gets his debut. And then in his second ever USMNT game, a final in the Concacaf Nations League, he gets his first USMNT goal. Let's go. Like, that was the biggest weight off my chest. Like, it was one of those ones, he should be good and you just want it to happen and you need him to score. And you're just like, if he doesn't score, I don't know what's going to happen. And you just really want a number 9 to step up, because we haven't had one in the history of this team, really, right? Like, pretty much in the Berhalter era, there hasn't been a number 9. So to have Balogun step up in a final, put the ball in the net, and it was a pretty good finish. It was a really good ball in from Reyna to him. But that was the second goal of the game. Chris Richards, the center back, gets one off of a corner kick really early in the game in the 12th minute, and then Balogun was in the 34th minute. And that 2-0 scoreline held to halftime and held to 90. So it was a pretty business-like trip. You come in, you win a semifinal 3-0 against your biggest rival, then you win the final against your second biggest rival 2-0. Like, that's professional, right? 5-0 on aggregate against two really good countries. I think pretty much
regular day at the office.
Happy with that.
Regular day at the office, and the fact that he got a goal in, like, so much stress lifted. So I'm definitely with you there.
And it's one of those ones. It's like, once he scores, he's going to be a prolific scorer. So it's just so good to see him get his first goal in the second game, right? That we didn't have to wait a couple months for him to break through, or it wasn't against a Granada, a team that we're beating like 7-0. You know what I mean? To do it in a Nations League final against Canada, when your first game, your debut game, was against Mexico. Like, welcome to CONCACAF, Balogun Balogun. Like, you have arrived.
Yeah. And just couldn't ask for anything more than this young man, and he is already started to deliver-ish, and can't wait for the future, man. Cannot wait for the future. Cannot wait for the World Cup. Obviously, it's going to be a bigger stage, but to be able to see that just puts so much confidence, not only on us as supporters and us as the media, and as well as us as, like, his teammates, his coach, like, everyone, just so much confidence that, hey, now we it looks like we have that true number 9, man. So really excited about that.
And it's also nice that our true number 10 now in Reyna was the one that got him the assist, right? Like, that's
see that
you want Reyna to be good, because he is arguably the most he's arguably the most talented player on this roster. Reyna is. You just don't get to see him be good all the time, and he's had injuries and issues with his mentality, right? We've talked about it. He's been a locker room cancer in the past, but it's good to see him here get a really nice assist when he could have been selfish and tried to take himself, but he played the right ball through to a very good player, and that player found the back of the net to steal the game. So the fact that
let me ask you this. So how excited are you to be able to see him make the right move, even though we have kind of that cloud that just went past the two families? How are you, like, as a supporter, you just being able to see him keeping his head up and still working and trying to be the best that he can for the national team? how much confidence is that giving you in that young man, and kind of looking at him and be like, even though that happened, I'm kind of proud or not proud, like whatever you think, but how much confidence is that putting you just seeing him put in that much work?
So I'll tell you what set the tone for me here. Have you ever like been in a relationship and then you go through a breakup and you find out like on social media or whatever that the girl you were seeing, she changed her hair up, she got like a massive haircut, or she dyed it, right? Like the one thing that tells you
is she's moved on, man.
She's moved on, right?
This happened to you before?
If someone changes their hair like that, they've moved on, right? Reyna
this happened to you before?
Reyna comes in here, bleach blonde hair. He is a new man. He's moved on from the past. He's over it. The drama with Berhalter, he's done. He's going to live his best life. He might be a little old to be doing the bleach blonde hair. That was a thing that probably should have happened like 5 years ago. But
who hurt you?
We don't need to go into that. That's a different podcast. That's Emotions 101. But
Emotions 101, new podcast coming.
But the important thing here is he's done it. He's through the breakup. He's changed his hair. He is a huge Gio Reyna, and he's ready to ball out.
Gio 2.0. We should start a campaign 2.0, man. 2.0. All right, awesome, man. So we got that going here. That kind of covers it for our first part, man. We wanted to talk about that. So let me ask you this. As we're going into the World Cup, right? You being able to see our number 9, our number 10 linking with the way they play, are there changes you're looking to make? Are there certain things that you didn't see that you want to see? Or it's just kind of like, I just want to see more of this?
The one thing I wanted to see was Christian Pulisic cook, and he did it in the semifinal against Mexico. He was absolutely lights out that game, right?
Yeah.
This game, he wasn't as on it, but in the semifinal, he was cooking, right? Tim Weah was cooking. Like, our attack was so good over the course of these 2 games. It looked incredible, right? Best it's ever been. And we've been saying it forever. All we've been missing is a fluid, high-level number 9 that can link the play. We have that now, and now we have one of the best attacks, arguably in the world, but definitely in the Americas. So that is really good to see. But also seeing Chris Richards come up, the Crystal Palace center back. He's, so he's a Premier League center back. He didn't get many games. He's a bench player there. But if you are on the bench in the Premier League, you're a high-level player, right?
Yeah.
The young kid, he comes into this team and he balls out at center back. Absolutely perfect in the Mexico game. Literally did nothing wrong in the Mexico game. He gets a goal from a set piece in the final against Canada. Right? Like, that's what you want to see. You want to see your young center back stepping up and looking like veterans. You want to see your attack being fluid. You want to see that without a Tyler Adams, who has been our most important player, you can just bring in a Brandon Aronson. You can bring in a Musa. You can bring in whoever you want into that midfield, and we're still going to cook some really good teams like Mexico and Canada, right? Like, we lost Aronson, so Musa filled his role.
Yeah.
Right? Now, no Musa, and then we bring in Aronson, who's usually in more of a 10 role, and he plays that 8 role. And we're still...
That was a worry of you, right? Being able to replace that. And
how we do there. And now it's just... It looks seamless. It looks perfect.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So, I feel like enough talk about U.S., but do you touch a little bit on the Mexico beating Panama for 3rd place? What's your takeaway on that with Mexico and Panama? Is Mexico still feeling like, because it's always going to be, Canada is always going to be high, but it's always going to be like Mexico and U.S. Do you think with this team we finally have the chance to put the debate of Mexico and U.S. away for a little bit at least?
So, the last time Mexico beat USA in a competitive match, Giassi Zardes was our starting number 9. We must have had 47 different starting number 9s since that game, right? It's been a minute since Mexico has beaten us in a competitive match. We beat them in the Concacaf Nations League final last go around of this tournament, right? Now we beat them in the semifinal. We've beaten them in the Gold Cup. Like, we beat them in friendlies. We, over the past several years, since pretty much in the Berhalter era, since Berhalter first joined the team, the U.S. has been completely dominant over Mexico. Now, historically, Mexico were whooping us, right? Like, historically, it was rough for us. But now, this is U.S. dominance here, right? This is borderline not even a rivalry anymore. Like, there's so much going on wrong in Mexico and the way they're handling it and running the team that I don't see this getting better for them either. They are really in a tough spot where we might see a fall of a dynasty here in North America.
Wow. You going that far?
I am. I'm comfortable saying that. If they don't get their next, say, couple decisions right as far as coaching hires, as far as player selection, Memo Ochoa is still their number one goalkeeper. I could have sworn that man stopped playing professional soccer like 8 years ago. And then I only see him play for Mexico.
Didn't we?
Right? He is literally the definition of a World Cup player, right? He just shows up to support his national team. Like, I swear this man is waiting tables somewhere.
They just keep him on a roster on like a random team just so they can call him up.
It's just crazy, right? Like, Memo Ochoa, legend, one of my favorite goalkeepers of all time, should not be a starting goalkeeper at his age and
at a national level.
At his level of play for the Mexican national team. Your standards should be higher. You should have players
and
that are in the production,
right? Don't they?
But that's the thing. So Mexican national team, most of our players do not come from our domestic league, right? Most of our players, our star players, are coming from Europe's top 5 leagues.
Outside,
right? Most of Mexico's top players are coming from Liga MX in Mexico. They have really tried to keep their star players home, which has really stifled their development. So if you're not getting challenged at a higher level week in, week out, right, then you're not going to develop higher. So that's what's hurt them there. And they thought that doing this and offering high wages to these players and incentivizing these players, stay, don't go to Europe. You don't know what will happen in Europe. Your career could tank in Europe. We're just going to pay you a lot of money. Stay here, please stay. They thought that would raise the level of their domestic league.
Robbing them, which makes no sense because it's robbing them for potentially playing against good potential players. You know, you get to play against Premier League player, League M players, so that kind of raises your level and your skill. So,
and also it allows you to reach out to players, build relationships, because Balogun would not have come to the U.S. if we didn't have players in pretty much every league across Europe, right? Like players that he's already known, players he can talk to, players that he considers friends, right? If he didn't have that reaction or interaction with players in Europe and talking good about this program, he wouldn't have come to the U.S., right? But there's no one talking to a Mexican dual national in, say, the Eredivisie, right?
Bro. Yeah.
So, like, you're really limiting your reach here because so much of the recruitment isn't what coaches and fans do. It's what players talk about between themselves. And if you don't have players representing your country in other leagues across the world, what's your pool going to be? You have a very small pool of players to reach from.
Yeah, I think we just fixed the Mexico national team. Feel free to use a tactic. Coach David has laid down a very easy blueprint to follow.
It'll take about 10 years, though. They've gone too far. It's going to take a very, very long time for them to right this ship.
I was trying to be nice, man.
No. Mexico is in a troubled spot right now, man. And I'm here for it. It makes me happy. I'm not going to lie. It puts a smile on my face. This is what I wake up for in the morning.
And this is why I clearly asked this question, because I just wanted to know, as the rivalry now gone away, because U.S. has continually shown improvements and just has been beaten Mexico. So have we gotten to a point when it's US Mexico, we don't get as many views, we don't get as many people tuning out for it because it's like
no, because the competition is starting to go away, but the rivalry, that's something ingrained into fans, right? That's not just
you don't think the quality of the entertainment and the game that's played will, because at some point it just kind of gets like, oh, it's just kind of, it stays within the name, but you don't get the same thrill out of it anymore.
Mexico got mollywopped in that game, right? Like, it wasn't a game. There was no thrill. There was
three,
no point.
man. It was only 3-0.
But it was so thorough. Like, there was no point in that game where I was nervous that they were going to score. Not a single point in that game where I was like, oh, this is dangerous. Not a single one. It was the most comfortable win I've seen for the U.S. in a very long time. Literally since I've seen them beat Grenada 7-0, right? Like, it was comfortable. There was no competition in this. But you still have Mexican fans throwing beers, cussing out players, right? Like, just
it's Mexico, bro. What you think will happen?
The rivalry will be there because the rivalry is so
I'm sure
much
they
more.
do that with any. I'm sure if they're playing, like, if you go watch the Panama game, I think they're probably doing that. No, you don't.
Different. It is different. There's so much more to a rivalry than just the soccer being played. This is still going to be a hot rivalry, an important game every single time it happens. It's just not going to be competitive every time.
All right, awesome. Well, that I'm gonna stop us right there. To me, I'm cool with it, man. I'm all here for it. As many rivalry as we can get, and game that we can churn up and talk about. I'm all here for it. So, with everything here, I'm going to stop us here for our first part. Coach, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. I'm going to get my refresher with my hefty cup, where we are officially sponsored. We're going to take a quick break.
Hefty.
And we'll be right back. And we're back for our second part with the football prophets. Here, back with Coach. How was your little break, Coach? Did you enjoy your break?
It was good. I got some refreshments from my hefty cup.
I feel I'm giving us so many opportunities just to show the cups.
You know what that tastes like?
The water tastes so much better. Better than the other.
Tastes like success.
Better than the other cup.
You know, I had 47 solo cups left. You know what I did with those? Threw them in the trash. Didn't even use them.
Oh my God.
Threw them in the trash. They are dead to me. No more solo cups. No more solo cups
for us. You create so many. Like when you dropped it off to me and I opened, first of all, you brought it to me in a Whole Foods bag. I'm like, this man brought me some meat or what? I opened up. For those who don't know,
I only shop at Whole Foods.
I open up the bag, I see this cup, I just start cracking and laughing in the parking lot. Nobody understands what's going on. I get in my car and I drive away. But
Miss Shea asked me to bring him his equipment, like his mics and headphones and stuff. He was at a coffee shop near where I live, so I dropped it off and I put it in his car. And in the essential equipment bag, which again, Whole Foods, yes, I'm boosting that, was just like 30 hefty cups. That is essential for us now. We got to be on the same page here.
I still got it.
Oh, love it. Love to see it.
All right, cool. So let's dive right in here. Some good news. Some good news here. Gregg Berhalter in for the coaching job. How do you feel?
You didn't sound too confident about that, the way you said his name.
Well, it's my accent, man. I got to make sure I get the H's right. So,
fair enough.
I'm confident.
Is this Triple G? Do you want to just call him Triple G? We can do that.
Triple G. Let's do that. Let's do Triple G because with the H's, I'm from the Congo. Oh, you got to get the H's right or you mess up everything. So, yeah, man. How you feel about that? How you feel about? I feel good, but how you feel about it?
I love it. I've been saying on this pod, I think he is the man, and if we don't get him, then it should have been an assistant coach of his, someone that can play the same style, because I think he has brought this program so far, and we need to continue doing the things he was doing. yes, we might have a better manager that we could have reached, right? Like someone they talked to was a Luis Enrique, one of the best national team managers of all time, arguably. He's probably a higher level, but is he going to have to break things down to then shift it to his way of coaching and his way of playing? Or can he build off of exactly what Berhalter did? I think he'd have to change things, and that means there's going to be a slump, and that means things are going to get worse to get better. And I think we've just seen the beginning of what Berhalter can do to a program. We've seen almost every player that's played under him endorse him and say he should be our coach, at least all of the stars. So I think players want him. I think we have seen massive production over time from this team under him. We were in a footballing wilderness for a little while, right? Like, it wasn't looking good for U.S. soccer for a little bit there.
Yeah.
He comes in and we start winning trophies. We start actually playing attractive soccer where we possess the ball, start playing a bit of tiki-taka, draw players or draw teams in and then hit them on the counter. Like, we were actually playing attractive soccer other than just bunker down, try to defend, be gritty and hope you get one, right? Like, we are actually dominating games. And we dominated games against England, right? Like, this isn't a fluke, right? He is doing the right thing, so give this man more time. I am happy with it. Like, I could not be happier. There are so many people out there that are miserable about it, but I think this is the absolute best option for the U.S. men's national team moving forward. You have a coach that is familiar with a young group of players. Because we had last World Cup, we had the youngest team in the tournament. And he got them out of a group where they didn't lose a single game in group play, and they played against England, right? Like, he had us playing. Yeah, we got whooped by Netherlands, but Netherlands is great, right? Like, Netherlands is a good country.
The way you're saying it, yes, we got beat, but
I'm fine with it. We were the youngest team in the tournament, right? Like, we had so much progression to get out of the group stages. No other North American team got out of the group stages. We were the only one, right? Like, Mexico didn't, Canada didn't, Costa Rica didn't. We were the only one to get out.
Yeah.
And we did it with the youngest team in the tournament. That says something, right? Yeah. And not just with the youngest team, but we did it by possessing the ball. We did it by outplaying opponents, right? Like, we did it by actually taking the game to opponents instead of letting opponents take the game to us.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that is such an improvement over what I've watched for the past 25-6 years of my life before Berhalter came into it, right? Like, I was just watching this team be nothing but athletes, have to grind out results. But now we are actually looking like a soccer country, right? Like, actually being able to play this game and take it to some of the biggest nations in the world in this sport, like England, right? Like, England looked like the worst team when we played them. Yes, it was a draw, but we looked like the only team that could win that game. 10 years ago, it would have been, if we got a draw, it would have been that, like, literally the crossbar saved our life 37 times, right? Like, we would have been just,
it would have been England playing
Jesus
like
would have made saves for us.
It would have been England playing like they're backups. Like
it wouldn't have been plausible for us a decade ago to take a game to England. Maybe not get a result, like getting a result is one thing, but to be able to get a result that looks good and you are the dominant factor in that game, that's something we've never had in this country. So why would you want to take away the one coach that has done that for us? I'm all for Berhalter. I don't need a flashy name. I am 100% Berhalter in.
But so I'm going to call you out on this a little bit, which is a little bit surprising. It's not, you even kind of mentioned it. It's not that it's the best. And because you go on saying, that's why I said it's good. Good is good. Like, good is good. I think this is good. Good is good. Love it makes it seem like great or awesome. I think this is comfortable. I think this is familiar. I think this is good to build up. But you mentioned Luis Enrique. You mentioned another coach that Luis Enrique that could have been a better one, right? Even though you would have taken a lot of work.
A better coach, but would he have been better for this group? Let
me just finish my sentence. I'm just going to ask my question.
Go on.
Let's say the perfect storm hit. He comes in, breaks it down, and gives birth to a new thing with this amount of talent. Because this is a loaded team, right? Let's just say best case scenario, he was able to do that. Don't you think you miss out on kind of maximizing that? That's why I'm thinking good, not love it or great. I think this is good. And good is good. But great and love it is at another level,
So I hear where you're at here, and I get it, but at the same time, we're not there yet. We are not ready for a Luis Enrique, right? Berhalter, one more
Why
second.
you say that? Why you say that?
The players are not quite in their prime. We don't have players yes, we have players that are playing in some of the biggest teams in the world, but they're not all stars on the biggest team, right? Like, they're bench players. We don't necessarily have the best and most experienced players, and that will happen as they get older, right? Because we have, again, the youngest team in the last World Cup, right? So their experience will grow, and their ability to understand those tactics and understand new coaches will grow. But Berhalter is the coach to get them there, right? Along with their club coaches, along with just age in general, right? After this next World Cup cycle, these players will be at the level and age where they are ready for a Luis Enrique, right? I just don't think we're there quite yet. I don't think Luis Enrique would be able to get out of them what he got out of that Spain squad, right? Like, he is, yes, a better coach than Berhalter, but he is not a better coach for these boys at this moment in time. 4 years from now, after the next
That's why you love it. That's why it's good and you love it. Okay, now that makes sense.
If Luis Enrique or someone of his profile is in the running and they choose Berhalter, I will be miserable with it, right? Because that will be the point where we should be ready for that level of coach. Yeah. But right now, we need to continue on the progress we are at and continue on the path we are on to get there. And Berhalter is the guy to get us there. Yeah. Right?
Okay. So he's not the best person, but he's the right person.
Exactly.
All right. And I'm cool with that. Just wanted to get that out of you. So what are you going to judge him moving forward? Like, what are things that you talked about how it's going to keep building up, but what are certain things that, especially with having Balogun in there, we're talking about having I'm gonna call him Blondie with with Mr. Reyna.
Mr. Reyna.
What are you gonna judge when he comes in and finding those talent, and what's gonna be your judgment? What's your expectation level, and what are you going to judge him based on?
So there's a couple main things here, right? Next year, so first off, there is, right after this tournament, this Nations League just ended, right?
Yeah.
June 24th, I think. So less than a week. Maybe it's June 28th, something like that. But literally less than a week. On Saturday, the Gold Cup starts. Berhalter will not be in charge of the Gold Cup. They are still giving that to BJ Callahan, who was the second assistant coach under Berhalter when Berhalter was the coach in the first time. So that will not be Berhalter's team. Berhalter will have influence, I'm sure, but it will not be him. So I'm not going to even judge him on the Gold Cup. And also the Gold Cup, we are bringing almost all North American-based players. There's hardly any European-based players, right? Like a match.
So it's going to be a different team.
But so
different dynamic. Yeah.
And I think it's the same way it was last Gold Cup, and we won it. So I think we have the potential to win it, but I'm not going to judge Berhalter on this World Cup or this Gold Cup.
Yeah.
I'm going to judge him on the friendlies after this Gold Cup.
Okay.
How he integrates Reyna into the team, who he had that falling out with, right? how he does that, how he integrates a Ricardo Pepi back in, who he left out of the last World Cup in a bit of a contentious way. A lot of people expected Pepi to be there. He wasn't, right? Pepi was literally getting every minute with the U.S. until he wasn't, and then he didn't even get a call in, right? Zach Steffen the same way. Zach Steffen was Gregg Berhalter's number one goalkeeper. Come World Cup, he wasn't even his top 3, right? Like, how does he mend those relationships with those high-quality players that have seemingly been ostracized from him? Can he get them back in? Can he get them playing at a high level again with this team to elevate us again to that next level? And then as far as competition-wise goes, we got invited into Copa America. Like, that's not something we're always in, right? That's a rare thing. That means we are going to play against Argentina's. We're going to play against Brazil's in 2024. I want to see how we compete against them, right? Like, that's where I want us to be. I want us to be at the Brazil level. I want us to be at the Argentina level, right? Argentina just won a World Cup. I want to see us. The expectation should be at a minimum for this 2026 being held at home with a very good team that's all about to be in their prime of 27 to 30-year-old players, should be a semifinal. You have to be able to show that you can at least play with a defending
World Cup. Or so you say
for a World Cup. For a World Cup.
Oh.
So that should be the goal, right? That should be what we expect from this team. So if you can't at least hang with an Argentina, you're not going to get to a semifinal.
Yeah, you don't have a chance, because you're able to kind of measure yourself right away with the team that just won the champs, the Korean champs.
So I'm not saying we have to win
I can put a good game.
But we have to be competitive. It has to be there, right? There has to be something that I can link to a future, right? Like, there has to be results here that I can look at and be like, that's going to be good in 2026.
Those mental wins kind of.
Yeah. So I need to see us compete against that opposition, not necessarily win against all those teams, but compete.
So let's go through this, because my next question was going to be like, what does this mean for certain player like Pepi, Brooks, and Reyna? But you kind of touched on it a little bit. So instead of me asking you what this means for them, I'll say, how does he fix this? How does he go back and win the players' trust, or tell them, follow me with that? Because I know coaches, you're probably not apologizing. You're just letting them see what transpired and trying to move on. But what is the best way of handling these, because it's not this, it's like these situations, because it's multiple of them. What's the best way to go about them?
So Brooks, I don't think he's that guy. Like, people think he should be our starting center back. I just don't see it. So I'm fine if he stays ostracized. Honestly, I think we have enough younger center backs that are playing at a similar level, if not higher level. So that one I'm not too worried about. But the big one for me is Reyna, right?
Yeah.
How does that happen? Because Reyna, when he is on, is the best player on the field. I don't care who we're playing, he is the best, right? So can he mend that fence? I think he can. I think he will. Berhalter said he will. He said
Reyna wants hard play. That's all he.
Reyna said there's no hard feelings. So I think it's more of a just Berhalter comes to Reyna after this tournament and just says, "You balled out. Keep doing that, right? Like, keep doing it, and be humble. Be a good teammate, right? Like, the issue here, the reason why Reyna got the back seat in the World Cup was he was coming off of an injury right before a World Cup. Was told that his minutes are going to be limited because of that. And he threw a temper tantrum, right? And was a really bad teammate, right? Everyone was celebrating. He was throwing a hissy fit, right?
But didn't we talk about how it could be, that could be like a testament to what he was going through mentally with everything that was kind of going through, and being injured and not being able to play and not recovering well and all that. So he was also dealing with that mentally.
He was. And now, to his credit, he's bounced back from it and arguably the player of this tournament, right? Like, at least the later stages of this tournament, the semifinal and the final, he was by far our best and most important player. So that's a testament to him. And if he can grow, I mean, again, he's a kid, right? Like, if he can continue to grow emotionally,
they're young, right?
There's going to be no issue. Right? Like, you're talking like a 22-year-old kid who threw a temper tantrum because he wasn't getting the minutes he thought he should be getting in the biggest tournament and the biggest stage in his profession, right?
Like, can I say something though? I'm kind of okay with him doing that. I don't know, this may sound bad, but like the situation ended up getting worse, but I'm kind of okay with him saying like being mad because I can't play. So, as a competitor, I low-key love that a little bit. But yeah, go ahead. I don't know. I remember the situation started with him not being able to play, and yes, he was a bad player, but I think not being able to be on the field kind of started that frustration. And as a competitor, you have to love that out of a young player.
So I've had, from a coaching perspective, right? You want your players to want to play, right? Like, I've coached the spectrum of players, and you'll have kids that you'll look at the bench and be like, you want to go in? And they'll look at you and be like, I guess, right? And then you have other players, you just look at the bench, you just look in their direction, they're taking off their sweatpants, they're ready, they got their shorts on, they're tying their shoes, they're hopping up and down, getting warm, they're ready to go in, right?
That's who you want to see.
Players that want to play. And vice versa, when you are subbing off a player, I've had players that have been all happy and cheerful coming off the field. I've had players that just look like they wanted to murder me. Like, how dare I take them off this field, right? And like, I prefer that, right?
Yeah.
You want that drive. You want those players to be mad that they're not getting playing time, right?
Yeah.
You want a player to want to be there.
And it's easy for them to make the adjustment of like, hey, if you do this, you get more minutes. And they'll be able to push. Yeah.
The issue is when that anger spills into how you are a teammate, how you are at the practice field, right? It's one thing to be upset in the game. It's another thing to be a bad teammate and to just be off, isolated, not trying hard, not working at practice, right? He wasn't training. He refused to do sprints. He was not practicing.
Can I say something though, man? And at 22 years old, who's really great at compartmentalizing? Like, who's good?
That's why it's
at 22, who's good at not letting, like, we all been like, your mom makes you mad at 22, you take it out your girlfriend or friends, like you just let situations spill over. So I see what you're saying, and I'm there. And this is something that I hope that you learn, that yes, I can use this juice to help me. That's what makes me the competitor I am and earns me the spot that so many people are looking for, and I'm able to showcase my talent. Next time, I just have to be able to compartmentalize. If I'm mad at this, I better tell coach I'm mad that I'm not playing, and I'm going to do everything to get on that field. And
so that's where it's understandable, but it's not acceptable, right? Like, it's understandable.
Oh yeah, not acceptable.
But Berhalter
gotta
had to be tough on him, right? Like, if Berhalter just let that happen, he would have lost respect of all other players in the locker room. But it has come out afterwards, after he was so tough on him, that all of the other players respected the mess out of Berhalter, and that's actually why they want him back, because of how he handled the Reyna situation, right?
Like, think stronger relationship after this with him and Reyna?
I think it's just hey, well done, you did your thing, keep doing it, keep being humble, keep being a good teammate, and you'll be a star, right? Like, I think
you and I have talked about this. You almost have more respect for the coach that tells you, nah. Like I think the level of respect of Reyna's level of respect for Berhalter, if he was here, just kind of, like, just a little bit, because he's able to say, this dude can check me, and this can blow over a candle, like a scandal in my family, and he can just come back and coach again, and he's fine, and he's just telling me good job, and we can move on. He's able to say, wow,
Gregg Berhalter is a Terminator, right? Like, when everyone thought he was done because of that scandal, he just keeps coming back, right? Like, no shade the Raiders throw at him.
I'll be back.
He's all right. He's good. It really does humble you a bit as a Reyna, knowing that there's nothing you can do to get this man fired. Nothing.
I'll be back.
You might as well just be under him and respect him.
We're all headed with this.
He's inevitable. He is inevitable.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So talk to me about how Pepi situation kind of plays into this a little bit before we had a break here.
So the big thing here with Pepi is I don't think he fits the way Berhalter wants to play. Berhalter wants a very fluid top three. Pepi isn't a type of player that can go out wide, right? And I think ultimately that's why we saw Ferreira, who's one of your favorite players in MLS.
I love him.
Get the call up instead of Pepi, right?
Yeah.
And Pepi felt a little isolated here because essentially he wasn't getting many minutes in the Bundesliga. He went to Berhalter, said, what can I do to be in this World Cup? And Berhalter said, go on loan to a lower team, right? And then ball out at that lower team. So he went on loan to a lower division team, right, in a different league. And he balled out, was incredible. And then he didn't make the World Cup team, right? So he felt ostracized there. He's like, I did everything the coach asked me to do, and I didn't make the team. Ultimately, I think he was never going to be a starter, right? It was always going to be Sargent, and then it was always going to be Ferreira because they play the style of soccer he wants to play. And then it comes down to, as that third striker, is he going to bring you or Haji Wright? Haji Wright's playing in a similar level as you right now and balling out for a longer period of time than you were. And he's a little bit older, right? And a little bit bigger too. So he really brings a different mentality than you bring. And Haji Wright was our young, and Haji Wright scored. Yeah. So fair enough.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, Haji Wright's young himself. He's 25, 26. He's young himself, but he's not 20. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pepi is 20. If you're going to bring 3 young forwards, you want at least one of them to be in their mid-20s. You don't want all of them
who's a man, you know, like,
right?
he an actual, And
he's been playing at the same level, if not higher than Pepi, and producing, right?
Yeah.
So I understand where Pepi is here, feeling a bit ostracized and isolated because he's like, I did everything coach wanted. But sometimes doing everything your coach wants you to do isn't enough.
Just does,
right? Like, I have a player. He asked me what he needs to do to move from JV to varsity. I told him what he needs to do. He can do all of that. Doesn't mean he's going to be on varsity, right? Like, you sometimes have to do those things for a longer period of time.
Yeah,
and just 4 months.
Yeah, because what you've been doing in 3 months, someone's been doing it for a year. You know,
2, 3.
Who I go with. Yeah,
right.
But the thing is also, my thing has always been, don't always do what you're told. Do a little bit more. Like,
in this scenario, I don't know what a little bit more would have been, right? Like,
score 2 goals a game.
But no, so I think Pepi will come back into Berhalter. I think Berhalter will give him another run. I don't think he's done. I don't think Berhalter was isolating him. Again, he was Berhalter's guy for a while until he wasn't. And that wasn't when he went to Germany and simply wasn't scoring goals.
This goes back to a testament of Berhalter, man. He just picks whoever's the best option. He don't care that y'all had chicken yesterday. We had breakfast yesterday. I don't care. I'm gonna go with what I think is the best option to make us win, and I love that. So that's pretty much it, man. So I think that stops us right there. We're excited about the coach and everything. I'm going to have us take a quick break here, and we'll be back for our final and third part, and we're gonna close out the show. All right?
Cool.
The football prophets.
We're back for a third and final part of the show, which is always fun, you know, because different thing Coach David puts on the rundown here. You know, sometimes we talk about certain players, but this week, you know, with the NFL, not the NFL. Look at me, I'm messing up leagues, man. The MLS, that's why we cover the MLS. Not having a full week there. There's some good things that
the games played.
Yeah. So there's some good things that happened here, and some interesting thing that may start good conversation here, Coach. So Hany gets his hat trick, which we're gonna talk about, but I'm interested in one of the questions that we put in the rundown here. Will he be considered the best MLS player ever? That is some heavy stuff, but I'm gonna stop right there before we kind of go more into it and just kind of pass you the mic. Talk to me about this hat trick and how you came to the conclusion of asking that question on if he's gonna ever be considered the best MLS player, not of this generation, but like ever. Floor is yours.
So this is his second hat trick of the season. He's on pace to put 4 of them in this season, right? Like that's very good for MLS, especially for a guy who isn't a number 9. He's a 10, right? He's a midfielder, not a forward. He's cooking right now. He is currently the leading goal scorer in the league with 13. Next best is Denny Bwanga and a few others sat at 10 with like Jesus Ferreira, Giacomakis. Those are some big name 9s, right? And pure goal scoring forwards. And he sits 3 ahead of them now.
Yeah.
He is also sat, I believe, in 3rd place with 7 assists this season. So he has 20 goals and assists this season. Best in MLS. Currently on pace to have the best season as far as goals and assists is concerned in MLS history. Like literally up there with everyone else. And now
he just got back from an injury.
Yeah, just coming back from an injury. Doesn't actually have a true like high level number 9 yet that he can play the ball to. And they are considering like it is all but done that they are going to get a high level number 9. So how much more does his season and his assists go up, right? He's already showing us he can score the most amount of goals as anyone in MLS, right? He's leading the Golden Boot race. But now his assists will get even better if he gets someone to pass to. So he's on pace for a potentially historic season. Which will get him a MVP, right? If he does that, he will be MVP. Mm-hmm. He already has one MVP. He probably should have another already too. In the year that I think Heel got it, it was between him and Heel. So he's only been in the league like 4 years, and he could potentially have 3. Really could have earned 3 MVPs. He was in the running for all 4 years to be MVP.
Yeah,
right. Like I don't know what more this guy can do other than longevity, right?
Oh yeah,
like what more can Hany Mukhtar do to be the best in MLS history other than longevity? He's 28 years now, right? Like 28 years old. So he's right in his prime. If he can keep this into his early mid-30s, say 34, that's 6 more years, roughly a decade in MLS. If he keeps at roughly this pace, not this pace, but as always
as close as possible,
one of the top players, right? Like a top 3, top 5 MVP candidate, I think he has to be considered the best in MLS history, right? Right now, that's probably Landon Donovan, right?
Yeah,
he had like 20-something years, one of the most goals scored in the history of the league. But Hany Mukhtar, in my mind, is a better player than Donovan was. He's in a better era.
The body of work, though. The body of work, man. He always when you start talking about history and best ever, it's not just about pure talent and dominance and about what you can do now. It's about how long have you done it.
But will a decade be long enough? Do you think a decade?
I don't want to have this conversation now, man. I don't want to have this conversation now.
But here, just hypothetically, say he keeps this through, and he retires at 34 years old.
He's a better player. He's a better player
for a decade. Is decade a long enough time for him to be considered?
Then it's him and Donovan, and all of us we have the right to debate it, and everyone is entitled to their opinion at that time. It's kind of like that GOAT debate, right? Everybody always gonna have their GOAT. So it's like, then at that point, if that happens, then you can go with either or, and nobody's gonna laugh at you, like 100%.
So do you think he has the ability to hold this for the next 6 years? If
he does, I think you might,
right?
He does
100%. Yeah. He could even get better. He's 28. Yeah. He might actually get better than he is right now.
Yeah. Because again, I mentioned he's coming out of injury. Yes, he's playing, but we don't know if he's like, as he trusts his legs 100%. Like
he doesn't have a number 9 to play to.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. That's the other thing you mentioned that I kind of slipped my mind. Yeah. Give him a true number 9.
He's doing this with Fafa Picault and Teal Bunbury.
Bro, he's got a squad now. Don't do that. Nashville.
Theo Bunbury.
I'm talking about Nashville. I'm talking about Nashville altogether.
But on the attack, it's him. They're
Nashville together.
On the attack, it's him. He is their attack.
Team game. It's a team game, and Nashville, bro. Even when he's off, like don't do that. Don't do that. When he wasn't in the pitch, he was still performing well. It's not like when he's off, they're sorry. They ain't sorry.
I mean, they're not sorry, but they're not potential Shield winners, right? Like they're still a playoff team, but they are not a high level playoff team. Yeah. With him, he is one of the best teams in the league. Without him, they are an okay team in this league.
So the Mukhtar effect or Hany effect, I don't know what we want to call it. Maybe we should come up with a name, pick one, is a real thing. Like as soon as he steps on in the stadium, like every eyes gravitate towards him in the pitch. Like that's a real thing. So if he goes long, I can see this being a real conversation. But right now, I just want to pump the brake a little bit, man. To me, that was a little heavy. I was like, whatever.
So here's what I want to point out, all right? So if you look at MLS, right, and you're under the stats and you're looking at just the player profile and you click on a player's name, you scroll to the bottom and it'll tell you their player category, whether or not they're an international player or they're a homegrown player or they're a TAM level salary player, or they're a designated player, right? You click on, say, Denny Bwanga or any other designated player in this league, and next to their player category, it will say designated player. You click on Hany Mukhtar and you look under player category, it says designated player, designated player. He's so good, they had to put it twice.
He's the designated player of all the
I don't know how well that's picking up on here. But designated player, right?
He's a designated player of all the
times two, Hany Mukhtar. But you go back to Denny Bwanga, it doesn't show that. It doesn't show that. It's just one designated player there. So
wow, that's great.
According to MLS.com, he's twice the player as Bwanga.
He's twice the player.
Just throwing that out there.
I love how you be starting smoke, man. All right, so
makes sense if you don't think about it.
All right, so how many? I think I've asked you these questions. I've asked you this question again. MVP this year or no?
If the season ended today, yes.
Yeah.
Hands down. Over Acosta. He is.
Okay. All right. Acosta's team is doing better, though.
He is, but if you look at Acosta, he's not in the top 4 in goals in MLS. He's not in the top 4.
Acosta's a fact.
He's not the top 4. He's never going to passes.
He's never going to be.
But you have to be.
Acosta is more of the he breaks down and lets think he's not a scoring machine
But to be voted MVP, you have to be. You have to be a leader, at least in assists.
But I'm just saying, you agree with me that Acosta's not going to always be his stats are going to be crazy, 20, 30 goal.
No, I agree with that. And he probably is the
even
most
physically
player to his team.
Yeah. Even physically, he just can't. I don't see him doing it.
But I think you take Acosta out of this FC Cincinnati team,
they're dead.
No, I think they're still a top 4 team in the East.
But I seen that dude play with my eyes, and
so you're going to tell me you're going to tell me your boy Yuya Kubo walks into that squad and plays at the 10. He won't be able to hold up a Vasquez. He won't be able to hold up a Barrial. He won't be able to hold that team. That team will still be one of the best 4 teams.
Okay, they'll still make the playoff, but they're not going to be on pace to be the best team.
No, they won't be. But they'll still be a top 4 team. You take Hany Mukhtar and Nashville, they are not a top 4 team in this league.
Come on, get out of here, man. They're still making the playoff. They're still
making the playoffs, yes, but in 8th.
That's the same thing Cincinnati is doing. If you take Acosta out, they're both still making the playoffs.
Yeah, but there's levels to it. Cincinnati might still
playoff is a playoff. Are you in a playoff?
If you take him out of this Cincinnati team, there's a very good chance they still finish number 1 in the East. You take Mukhtar
At this moment, okay, let's stop. At this moment or for the whole season?
for the whole season.
And Mukhtar is still with Nashville. I don't see that happening.
No, if you take them both out. If you take them
both out. Okay.
Cincinnati, there's still a very good chance they win the East.
Okay. But still, they're not on pace to be the best team in the history of the league. Yeah.
No, of course not. Yeah. But they're still going to be the best in the East. And I think that speaks levels to how important Mukhtar is to this team. It is Mukhtar SC.
Okay. All right. Steve. Oh, okay. All right. Are you in love with this guy or what? I just need to check.
I think he's my favorite player in this league. I really do.
All right. You know, Messi.
The interviews he gives, he is like such a great team player. Like the way he talks about his teammates.
Yeah.
If I was a GM in this league, I think he might be my first signing. Like if I could have picked anyone currently in the league, I think I would sign Mukhtar.
Bro, remember his first game of the season? That's when I knew.
And he comes in as a sub and he takes it on the dribble and every defender just runs away from him, just runs straight to their goal. They're like, "Get me out of here!"
Remember that?
Yeah,
that was dirty. That was a good game. But all right, cool. So we're gonna start talking about Mukhtar because I think one thing you always say is in Hany we trust. So we're gonna start saying that more often.
In Hany we trust. We could get a shirt with that. Let's get some more merch.
Hey, I can get my.
You have the only piece of profits.
Yeah, one edition.
And, I think we need to get a In Hany We Trust T-shirt.
All right, let me work on that. I'll have it within 2 weeks for us.
Oh, I'm here for it. Get one in my size.
I'll get one in my size, and we'll get a couple. We'll get a couple. If anybody want to buy, especially my Nashville people, buy it. Go to the game with it. That'll be awesome, man. And then we'll figure out a way how you can get it. We'll get a link, put somewhere here and we'll talk about it. But basically
until then, if you want to just follow us on Twitter and DM us, I run the Twitter page. And if there's something you want, let us know and we'll get it to you.
Yeah, literally we're the Football Prophets. Tell us what you want on there. If it's your team and you want, we'll add some design there and we'll get it done with us with our logo and we'll ship it out to you, man. But we'll figure out a way to put it all together. Just reach out to us and we'll get it going. But one thing I want to touch on before we end the show here is there's kind of a team that's kind of being under the radar, but kind of low-key killing it on the road, man. How does this slip under our hand where we talked about RSL being okay-ish? I think our last couple episodes, but they're actually on the road like Superman. Ain't nobody can beat them.
So RSL currently sits 7th out of 14 teams in the West, right? Yeah. So mediocre. For them, that's a pretty good season, if I'm being completely honest, right? Like they're in the playoff hunt. They're doing well. And they're getting more reinforcement. They're about to get Chicha Arango, which we talked about. They're about to get better, like unequivocally better. But the thing here is, we talk about this all the time in MLS. It is so hard to win on the road in MLS that you just have to win your home games, right? If you win your home games and you get something on the road every now and then, like a draw here and there, you will be a good level playoff team, right?
Yeah.
RSL has said, no, I will not do that. We are going to win on the road and lose at home. If they can figure out how to win at home, they will be unstoppable. Like, get out of here, FC Cincinnati. But right now, they are unbeaten in their last 8 games at home.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, in the MLS, that is incredible.
On the road. You said at home, but it's on the road.
Or on the road, sorry, yes. Yeah. On the road, they are undefeated in 8. Honestly, don't know if they've even had a win in their last 8 at home. It's rough more than at home. But on the road, it's incredible. And they can make that click at home. Yeah. They are going to be such a good team.
They ain't got time for that, man.
And if Chicha Arango actually comes in and starts playing at the level we know he can play at, this is going to be a dangerous team. This might be a home playoff RSL team.
They got some players, though. They do, and
I'm here for it. Like, I'm not an RSL fan by any means, But if I can actually start seeing them play attractive soccer for the first time in my life, I would be happy.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's always so miserable watching RSL play because they just sit back and defend.
Oh, there's like nothing happening. It's just like, I don't know. It's just there's no flow to their tactic.
They made it to a Western Conference Finals a few years back, right? Finals in the playoffs, Western Conference Finals, without taking a shot. In all games combined, all games in the playoffs leading up to the Western Conference Final, without taking a shot. Every game went to extra time and penalties. It was ridiculous. They beat my Sounders, knocked my Sounders out without taking a shot. The Sounders took like 34 shots that game, right? Like, hit the post twice, right? Like, they played the most unattractive soccer there's ever been played, but they got results. But now if Chicha Arango comes in and they actually start playing attractive soccer, oh my God, I'm so happy to not have to.
I can't wait to see him link up with
park the bus.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him link up with Gomez, see what that may look like.
It's going to be exciting. And again, this year has already been more exciting than their last seasons combined, right? Like, it has been such a waste of time in years past watching RSL play. Like, literally just please give me my 2 hours of my life back.
Painful.
But now,
can I get a refund on my subscription, please?
Now I'm actually enjoying it. Like, it feels illegal to enjoy watching RSL play, but I am, and Chicha Arango is just going to make it better. Like, I might actually become an RSL fan. I don't think I've liked RSL since Beckerman since Beckerman retired, right? Like, I am, and Ramondo retired. Like, I am excited. I am excited.
Awesome. I'm not. This whole thing made me laugh, man. They say, nah, we gonna win on the road, man. We gonna go and do
this. They just took all like fundamental aspects of MLS and threw it out the window. Everything you think you need to know to win in MLS, they just said, nah, we're good. We're good without it.
We're not gonna do that. That's a waste of our time, man. We're just gonna go on the road, catch a couple games. That is funny. All right, awesome. That makes the end of our show, man. We excited that you with us today, Coach. That was some awesome stuff, man. Please give us a subscribe. It's that red button, man. Just hit that subscribe button, hit a like, leave a comment, and Hefty, you got 90 days.
Do your thing, Hefty.
Do your thing. We're gonna be drinking out of this. We're gonna tell people you were the number one party cup
in America.
Party cup in America.
Apparently not in Switzerland, but in America, number one.
Not in that's such a good stat. Hefty. All right, that's a good promo we got there. Hey guys, feel free to email us at prophetspod@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @prophetpod. And obviously, Football Prophets, you can catch us on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. So, and that's Apple Podcast. So guys, please go ahead and follow us there. Coach, you have anything you want to tell your people?
Nah.
All right. Tell a friend who knows another friend who can tell another friend to hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you all on the next episode.